we could go together, Morgan.
Don't you want to go where the rainbow ends?
But I also know that you went to Nick's hotel this morning and talked to the desk clerk. Keep going.
David degenerated in...
The history of the world is the history of violence. Mankind seems intent on destroying itself.
Welcome back, everyone, to Uncensored Cinefiles, the podcast, where we break down films and do reviews and stuff. How you doing, Bianca? You ready to break down Space Odyssey 2001?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, where do you think you'd rank this in the Kubrick films? Which is this your favorite Kubrick film, or is this...
Probably, yeah, I think so. I like, this is in the same, like, tier as The Shining for me, but then also Eyes Wide Shut. It's like, it's easier to say what's my least favorite Kubrick film.
Okay. This is up there, though. This is in your top 3, then.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, yeah, me too. This has been my favorite for a while, because I like space movies. And I think the special effects in this movie, we watched it on 4K HD, like, just recently, and the special effects, like, hold up.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like, it's still a good movie in 2022. Right?
Yeah, I think what makes this movie so, like, good is because it doesn't need, like, explanation. It's, like, no voiceover, there's no sort of, like... There's not very much dialogue. It's all about, like, the imagery and the music.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, like, a film that is made to be seen on the big screen.
Yeah.
You know, it's not made to be, like, seen on a small, like, tablet.
Yeah.
So it's, like, so powerful to watch it when you see all the colours coming at you and everything. It's like, I just wish I'd been... back in like 1968 seeing it, like, you know, with an audience live. It would have been amazing.
Yeah, it would have been really fun. But I mean, it was still good to see it. Like, I've seen it now a bunch of times, and so Arthur C. Clarke told everyone that he thought you should only watch the movie once, But Stanley Kubrick vehemently disagreed with him. And in a big, long interview, he talks about how the alien theory that people have come up with about the monolith and things is like the overt sort of like basic meaning of the movie, but there's like a much more hidden symbolic meaning underneath that's the real meaning of the movie.
Which is the reason why we're doing this podcast. Like,
and you have to watch the movie multiple times to understand it, because you know, the first time I watched it, I was like a kid and I was like used to Star Wars. So I popped this thing in thinking it's going to be like a Star Wars movie and there's monkeys.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do monkeys do? And I was like, out.
Oh.
So that was you know, my first initial reaction.
Well, I watched this when I was like 10.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what it was. Like, I didn't understand it, but I watched the entire movie. And I was happy when there was like a Simpsons episode and they had like the 2001 Space Odyssey references in it. So I think it's like the episode where Homer goes to space.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I get those references now. And I felt really good about it.
Oh, okay.
I was like,
There
oh,
you go.
yeah, look at me. I'm like a smart 10-year-old.
Okay, so
You were like, it's not got any like lasers and shooting. I'm done with this. And I'm like, well, this might come in handy.
So, I guess we should break this movie down, like, maybe by going through the movie, like, as it goes. So I guess we can start with the very opening scene, which is the just void that you're looking at in the music. Right?
Yeah, because I forgot the movie started that way.
Yeah.
With just the music and the dark, you know, the emptiness. And I do think that is like representing like before there was light, before there was anything in the universe, it was just emptiness.
Yeah.
I think that's like, and the music builds up and it becomes like overpowering. And then we obviously jump to the prehistoric man, you know, the apes. So I do think that is a very like odd way to start a movie about space.
Yeah.
Like when we think about like movies that have followed on, you know, it's always been like this big introduction into like the world, you know, the world in like the alien planet, the spaceships, you know. But of course it's Kubrick. He doesn't, you know, everything is designed to have a certain meaning to it.
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting with Ager's comment about how, you know, so Robert Ager did a review of the film.
Now, regarding the monolith itself, the object was pyramid-shaped in Clarke's original short story. Kubrick changed this to an upright rectangular slab, and he experimented with projecting images onto the monolith's surface that would instruct the apes in their intellectual development. The point of all this emphasis on 90-degree angle transitions, none of which were in the 2001 novel, is that the meaning of the monolith is hidden by its orientation. We're supposed to view it in this position, not upright. And what does this shape correlate with? Getting warmer? Warmer again? Have you figured it out yet? Hot? Red hot? Bingo! The monolith represents the screen on which the viewer is watching the film.
And he thinks that the monolith is representative of the TV screen that you're watching the movie on. And there's like multiple reference to that, like that he goes over in a really interesting little video presentation on it. But I think also like the monolith represents a bunch of other things as well. I guess we'll get into those in a little bit when we start talking about that. But like I think at the very beginning scene there, what you're seeing is, yes, it's representing the viewing screen as the monolith and all that, but it's also representing the void, which is referenced in a lot of different like works and stuff. Like if you read, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the work, but like.
And he made first the Ainur, the holy ones, that were the offspring of his thought. And they were with him before aught else was made. And he spoke to them, propounding to them themes of music. And they sang before him, and he was glad.
There's different like works where they talk about like the fallen angels in heaven and how it was like a void, but there was music, right? So like this type of like idea is like before Earth there was just like music in the heavens and the angels were singing in heaven, right? So like you have like nothing, no existence yet. You just have like the void and you have song.
Yeah,
right?
which is kind of like with the emptiness of space and the vastness of it. There's still sound. You know, they have recordings of like you played me that recording of Saturn.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Really
I don't want to
creepy,
get there yet. Yeah.
It's not just Saturn. There have been all other recordings of like background noises in space.
Yeah.
So a kind of obviously in space there is no sound, but then there's something that our ears interpret as sound. You know, like.
Well, I think there is sound in space.
Okay. Well, but it's like the
because
thing.
I think space is a medium, not an empty vacuum.
Okay.
Right. Which
Yeah.
I guess to me it's the ether, which is described by like Tesla and Belikovsky and like that, where it's like not just an empty vacuum, where it's like actually has like property to it. See what I'm saying? Which is how it's able to like transmit like electric signals through it. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, that's really like advanced physics stuff. Let's get back to the movie.
Let's get where
okay, so then the movie goes to like the really grandiose music, right? And then it has like the alignment of the planets. That we don't see like in our night sky. Like the planets aren't aligned that way, like in our solar system, but they're all lined up at the beginning of the movie.
They were, if you follow the electric universe theory, which I'm sure we might discuss a bit later, but yeah.
No, right. I think it's a good time to go there now because like he's showing you.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So like. If you've seen the electric universe theory stuff, basically in like the old solar system, they proposed that the planets were aligned in a previous epoch before things changed. And we have like the modern day alignment, right? So like thousands and thousands of years ago, or who knows how long ago. No one really knows. But basically, like in that old alignment, like Saturn would have been like the predominant thing in the night sky, and like you have that alignment of planets that they show you at the beginning of 2001, and you even have like a reference to like the sun going across, which is like the Egyptian like gods being represented.
Yeah, and it's not just, it doesn't just occur in that one scene. We see it return later as well. So, I mean, I think it's interesting, the whole electric universe. It's sort of theory. I think it's a different way of looking at our solar system. And universe as a whole. I think it's probably something that Stanley Kubrick would have been aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the guy's name I've forgotten, but he came up with his work in the 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, something that I think Kubrick would have picked up on. And he was also like an avid reader, would read so much, so I feel like if you're going to set out to do something like 2001 Space Odyssey, you're going to want to read a whole vast wealth of different, texts.
Mm-hmm.
So, I also want to say the music, bringing it back. The music is kind of similar to the music at the start of The Shining.
Yeah.
That sort of wailing, like, haunting voices, from,
Yeah.
like...
To me, it seemed very
like,
demonic.
Yeah, it's
But
kind of
that's
like
my Christian point of view, obviously.
the echoes of the past.
Yeah.
Like there's something there to it. It's not pleasant, Whereas some of the rest of music in 2001: Space Odyssey is kind of has like an uplifting sort of pleasantness to it.
Some of it,
So
yeah.
it just seems really odd that like you would have Kubrick sort of return to that sort of music, that type of music with The Shining.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
No, it's interesting. I think what he's trying to show there, like, once again, is, like, with that, like, sort of eerie, chaotic music, I think he's trying to represent, because, like, there's scenes later in 2001 that we noted where they're, like, doing the same sort of, like, spirit floating over
like
the land.
aerial,
Right.
POV, like something flying across the landscape.
Yeah, which is just like The Shining. And I think, like, that represents, like, the evil sort of spirits, like, sort of kind of, like, prowling over the land, like, and it's, like, I don't know, that's just my interpretation of it.
Yeah, I think it's, like, definitely something that is interesting with Kubrick, because obviously he was Jewish. I think he must have been maybe atheist. But
He actually addresses that in the interview about Space Odyssey
okay.
that I read. He says that he doesn't believe in any, like, organized religion, like, that we all... But he does believe in God.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right, so, like, he does...
Well, that's given... knowing that, I wasn't aware of that. That gives me, like, a new sort of perspective on what Kubrick was trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, so it would be interesting to revisit his works now, knowing that, so...
Yeah, it's really, like, interesting point of view he has, and he like, dispels, basically, the alien theory, because, like, he's like, there's a much deeper meaning to this than the alien theory.
I think the alien theory is a bit, like, easy.
That's for, like, the people that want to believe in, like, atheism, and they just want, like, the basic meaning of the movie. So, like, to, like, the basic person that watches this movie, it's like aliens put a monolith there. It helps mankind become space race. They find another monolith on the moon that helps mankind reach the stars.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, become star children, like alien star children.
Yeah.
That's, like, to the average person, that's all they get from the movie. But there's, like, such deeper meaning to this whole movie. Like, so, like, the apes, right? So in the beginning, like, when the apes are... It's not aliens that they're doing. So if you read the Book of Enoch, right? So the apes in the very beginning of the movie. This even goes back to the Electric Universe stuff. Let's go back even further. Sorry, like I'm.
We're jumping all over here.
Yeah, okay.
Like, we're going from
So
one thing.
the apes at the beginning are just sitting around, like not eating meat. They're like
just
chilling
like,
with the other animals.
They seem happy.
So they're just eating like bugs and fruits and
delicious
berries
bugs.
and right.
Yum yum in
they're
my
not-
tummy.
Yeah, but the point is like they're not killing anything. So like as we saw in the Electric Universe Theory documentary, when the elite represent what they call the Golden Age, which was the age of Saturn, when Saturn was like the dominant thing in the sky, and all the other planets were held in alignment, like it was in control, right? That's when they depict the world as being the Garden of Eden and stuff in paintings and things, right? So it's always, and all the animals are just chilling with everyone else, and no one's eating the animals. Everyone's like eating grapes, right, and fanning themselves, like type of depictions.
Yeah,
it's
so
the Garden of Eden, right?
There would have been like a luscious amount of vegetation for everybody.
Yeah, and all the animals are just there. They're not like hunting them or anything, right? So they're depicting like mankind in that state at the very beginning of the movie, right? And then the black monolith shows up, which is representative of the foundation stone, which is like the stone that's like in that like mosque thing in Jerusalem that everyone's always mad about. In there's the foundation stone. Okay? So, and really interestingly, inside the foundation stone, there's, if you go into it, so like, you know how he goes into the monolith at the end of the movie, and he ends up in a room? Underneath the foundation stone is a little room. Right? Like a little half man-made, half natural cavern called the Well of Souls.
Oh, that sounds
Right.
like a jolly name.
Right. So like he goes into the foundation stone in the movie, and then he's in the Well of Souls, right? Which is like the room inside the monolith, which is inside the foundation
Yeah, which
stone.
kind of explains like why we hear voices. When he's first into the room, right?
Yeah.
Did you pick up on like all the whispering and stuff? Which is, I was trying to work out what it was what was being said, but it was like loads of different people speaking. It was really like very odd.
Yeah.
Like it's, yeah. We're ahead of ourselves though. We've
Okay,
gone
yeah,
way
so
too far. We need to go back to
Okay,
the
so
Dawn
going
of
back,
Man.
so going back to the monkeys touching the thing, and why I think it is representative of the foundation stone is because what the monkeys learn from it is like it's what Azazel in the Book of Enoch taught man, which is supposed to be Lucifer. Like that's like what Lucifer taught mankind was how to make weapons.
Right.
According to the Book of Enoch, which is like a little bit more descriptive of like it used to be canon, then they took it out of the Bible, but basically it's like the story of the fallen angels and like what actually happened when they fell out of like heaven, which is they came to earth and made children of their own with like mankind before the flood. And that's like why God like flooded the world, was to like get rid of their offspring. Right? So like what you're seeing in this movie is like the fallen angels are directing mankind back to them throughout the movie, right? They're like, oh, invent weapons to kill animals at the beginning, which then leads to them eventually being able to be like, oh, we can go to space, right? Like you have like after the monkey touches the monolith, he like is like the new priest class, which is now like astronauts in our modern day and age. Like they're like above the rest of us because they have like this special ability to go to space, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's just, I think that's what it's showing there is, like, the teaching of mankind by the fallen angels, like, to kill, right? And how to use weapons to kill.
Yeah, because it's not teaching them how to make the wheel or fire.
No.
You know, it's to use, like, a bone to smash things.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that that's like the decision that Kubrick made. You know, I think should we talk about the book?
And also, just one more point before we move on. So, like, the other thing that is shown is, like, the monkeys don't kill before the monolith. Even though killing does exist in their world because one of theirs got eaten by a leopard.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's also the aggressive
standoff, but they don't attack each other.
No, but there is like violence in that world, but it's like a natural violence.
Which I think what they're showing with that is like people are always going to like you don't even have the dialogue there of what they're arguing about. It doesn't matter. It just shows that like people are always going to be tribal.
My tribe is better than your tribe.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's like what he's showing with that, right? So basically that's what they're showing in the beginning of the movie is like that. Like, so you could take it one way, I take it that way. That's how I take what you see at the beginning.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, I think it's definitely, I don't think it's like something that is good for mankind, necessarily, the monolith.
No.
And I think it's something that is, like, can be perceived as good, but obviously, because it advances humanity and mankind, but the result is you lose that peaceful, you know, like you say, the Eden, like, you know, living with true nature, and that's gone.
Yeah.
Because once they've done that, there's no turning back. And I just think it's like still one of the most powerful moments in cinema history. It's when he throws up the bone and then it cuts to the spaceships.
Yeah, it's like literally just...
It's amazing. It's like one of the best shots ever made, you know?
It's like, it just cuts through all of like, from like the beginning of time to like, like ahead of where they even were at that time in history. Like that.
Yeah.
Without explaining anything.
And we don't need to, it doesn't
like
need to be like, oh, we're gonna have a montage.
But then, most people would have done like a bunch of like different things on the way, like you know. But he didn't even do that. He just went straight.
Yeah, and we know what is. Yeah, we can follow what's going on. So, what do you think of that sort of? I guess that was like the prologue to the movie.
Yeah.
And then the main part starts off when is it Dr. Floyd?
Yeah, I think it's Dr. Floyd.
Who is on his way to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you think of, like, I thought the first thing I noticed was like the screens in the air, like the space shuttle, the backs of the seats. I was like, oh wait, that's what we have now. Like, to me it like didn't seem like futuristic because I'm like, oh, I have that now, like Delta Airlines.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to them. I don't know why I like them. They seem good.
They seem good.
They take
until they lose your luggage.
No,
and cancel your flight.
Well, anyway, but I guess to people living in the 60s, that would be futuristic.
Oh yeah, they definitely didn't have
They
that.
were like, that would be like, oh my god, what, TVs in the back of the seat on a plane?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's interesting that they got so much of the technology correct, and I think, like, from that behind the scenes thing you sent me that we both watched, they talked about how they worked with like 50 different companies from like all these like high tech like industries. So like
are Stanley Kubrick's principal astronautic advisors.
We've been brought in here by Stanley Kubrick to more or less ensure the scientific integrity of the film, to make sure that it's very, very close in reality to what we're doing today in the spaceflight program. And naturally, we're looking forward 35 years, but still we want to make certain that it has a base of reality.
We've heard you've been getting assistance from industries throughout America.
Well, we most certainly have. We've been working with many, many companies, about 50 really. IBM, General Electric in Philadelphia, RCA in Michigan, Bosch and Lomb in Rochester, New York, and so on down the list. Wherever we need help, we've gone to industry, and they've been more than delighted to give it to us.
obviously, like,
Yeah.
I think they had a lot of like insight from like them on like, hey, like we're developing this stuff for the future, like.
Yeah, because
You know.
included in that little documentary is like a laptop.
Yeah.
It's like the weirdest thing. It's like a briefcase, and they were like, "Oh, one day, well, people have computers in these," and it's like, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we kind of do."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how like these sci-fi guys get this stuff so correct, is because like they're given access to the secret technology that already exists
Yeah.
at the time they're making these films and is hidden from public view.
Yeah. So
Right.
I mean, but it just seems extraordinary that something made in 1968 could predict tablet screens. You know?
Yeah,
Like-
well, you know.
Hal, despite your enormous intellect, are you ever frustrated by your dependence on people to carry out actions?
Not in the slightest bit. I enjoy working with people. I have a stimulating relationship with Dr. Poole and Dr. Bowman.
It's like, how? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, like how long have they had tablets? You know,
Yeah.
that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Like, come on now. But yeah, no, I mean, it's really interesting. But I mean, maybe he was just trying to represent the monolith, and that's how he got the tablet screens, right? Because it's supposed to represent the monolith, the tablets they're watching the news on, and things like that.
It's
So-
what Aga sort of discusses is like it's a recurring. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for.
There's always like information presented on the black.
Yeah, it's always like a recurring
Yeah.
motif.
Yeah.
So you see it everywhere. Even going to the bathroom in zero gravity,
Yeah,
which
the
I was
zero
like,
gravity toilet.
it's gonna be so messy. Like imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, gross. It's the stuff floating around if you don't like flush properly. Oh.
Oh God, no.
But I think what is interesting about that whole sequence is how commercialized, like
Oh, yeah, everything is,
everything
yeah.
is. You got Pan-Air. You have like the weird stuff, the food that's in like the juice boxes and stuff. Like
Yeah.
everything has like has that sort of like airport feel to it, like the
Yeah.
airport lounge feel to it, or like hotels and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and the check-in thing, and he gets to I guess it's like a spaceship,
Yeah.
space dock, and he goes through and like the screen and like has to say his name and everything. Well, that's what we have now.
Yeah.
You know, so
Isn't it crazy, like, how accurate some of the stuff
at least
they
it works
predict?
properly in the film, because
It
bloody
works in
London
the film.
Heathrow, I'll just tell you this now, they need to, you know,
They need to fix it.
They
They
need to
need the
fix
one
it.
from
It's
Space Odyssey, yeah.
there's always only one that works properly at a time.
Yeah.
Welcome to voice print identification. When you see the red light go on, would you please state in the following order your destination, your nationality, and your full name. Surname first, Christian name, and initials.
Moon, American, Floyd, Haywood R.
Thank you. You are cleared through voice print identification.
Thank you.
But yeah, so that I thought it was very interesting. So he goes on the space station in the beginning, and before he goes into the meeting, he like goes and sits down with all those other like intellectuals, and he kind of like fuels the rumors that there's been like a pandemic outbreak, right?
Now, I know there have been some conflicting views held by some of you regarding the need for complete security in this matter. More specifically, your opposition to the cover story, created to give the impression there's an epidemic at the base.
And they're using that as a cover story for what's really going on, which is
secret stuff
on the moon.
Secret stuff on the moon.
Yeah. And not just secret stuff on the moon, right? Because it also...
On the dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
Secret stuff on the dark side of the moon.
Yeah. So, and, like, that's also interesting, too. So, like, they go into this meeting. It's all military guys, primarily. And they're talking about how the public needs to be conditioned before they're able to, like, be told about this information.
Now, I'm sure you're all aware of the extremely grave potential for cultural shock and social disorientation contained in this present situation, if the facts were prematurely and suddenly made public without adequate preparation and conditioning.
Right. So, like, what does that tell you?
Well, there's a recurring thing throughout the entire movie is the withholding information and the power that, like authority figures can have over other people. And the one who has the knowledge is the one in control. So, for example, Moonwatcher, which is the ape that learns how to use the weapons. Did you know he had a name?
No.
He's called Moonwatcher.
Oh, Moonwatcher. Okay.
He gains knowledge, and he's the one in power.
Okay.
And he has the knowledge of how to use the weapons.
Yeah.
Right? And then the people on the moon have the knowledge of what is on the moon.
Yeah.
Right? And then how he has power over, Dave and the other astronaut, because he knows information over them.
Yeah.
And so it's like a common sort of like reoccurrence throughout the movie is those who are perceived as having knowledge are the ones in control. So
yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know where I was going with that.
No, it makes a lot of sense because that's like how the power structure works. So like that's why the elite call themselves the enlightened ones or the Illuminati, right? So
It's a daft name.
right, so like that's why they think of themselves as that. That's why like 33rd degree Masons think they're better than 20 degree Masons, because they have secret knowledge that
What
the
about
lower
34 degrees?
I don't know.
Or about
but
33.3?
I don't know.
Or about
That's
33.
They have secret
Fine.
knowledge that like nobody knows. Like no one even knows they exist yet. So like, yeah, exactly.
It's all silly, really.
But so I thought it was really interesting that they're sitting there telling you that the public needs to be conditioned into these things before they reveal them to you, while they're sitting in a moon base on the dark side of the moon that's run by the military. Okay? So when I go back into like military lore and stuff like that, there's been multiple projects that go into this stuff, right? So I sent you a bunch of this stuff, and now I'm pulling it up so that I don't get the names wrong. But there was the Lunex expedition, right, which was to establish a base on the moon, okay? And they wanted to use...
Like an Iron Sky.
Yeah, like an Iron Sky, but not with Nazis. With Nazi tech, but not with actual Nazis in it. With Americans who got there with Nazi tech. So I thought, okay, so like... whew, this is going to be like a lot. So like, the thing you sent me, the behind the scenes video, the guy who they were interviewing worked at NASA with who?
Are Stanley Kubrick's principal astronautic advisors.
We've been brought in here by Stanley Kubrick to more or less ensure the scientific integrity of the film, to make sure that it's very, very close in reality to what we're doing today in the spaceflight program.
How do Dr. von Braun and Arthur C. Clarke relate to 2001?
Well, it's sort of a friendship relationship, really. I formerly worked for Dr. von Braun at the Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. Arthur Clarke is a very, very close friend of mine.
Lots of people.
Werner von Braun.
He's bad.
Right.
He was a bad guy. He was on the bad guy's side.
Well, he was a Nazi.
Yeah.
Right. So Werner von Braun, right, was not only like, you know...
He made rockets.
Yeah, he was a Nazi scientist that made the V-2 rockets that they used to launch at England and, like, just indiscriminately bomb and kill civilians with.
The Blitz, yeah, not a good time.
So, like, it was just, like, a bunch of, like, indiscriminate missiles shot at England by Werner von Braun because he's, like, a complete disgusting human being. And then the Allies were like, why would we waste someone so brilliant at killing people? Let's bring him here and let him run NASA. Makes a lot of sense, right? So that's what happened during Operation Paperclip.
Yeah.
Okay? And the guy who consulted Kubrick on this film worked directly under Werner von Braun. So he would have known all of this stuff about... the Nazis infiltrating NASA, infiltrating the government. He would have known all that, and he worked directly with Kubrick. So, like, when I said that that's what The Shining referenced a bunch of times...
Yeah, which kind of makes sense with the German typewriter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, the references to NASA in Kubrick's films are to the infiltration of NASA by Nazis.
Not the fact that...
Not some ridiculous thing about the moon landing. In the Space Odyssey film, isn't Kubrick like...
Yeah, because...
It's not Kubrick doing a tryout to do the fake moon landing
because
videos.
they don't look anything alike.
No.
Like, the moon landing looks really naff.
If Kubrick had done the moon landing videos, they'd look good. They would have looked real.
Yeah.
They should have let Kubrick film those. Because whoever they hired to do it did a really bad job.
I'm telling you, it was Steven Spielberg, George Lucas.
You got guys falling over with like wires pulling them up and stuff in those videos. Like the moon landing videos NASA did put out are completely fake. Okay, let's not even go there. And all the FE people, the ISS videos that they put out, I think they put them out to trigger you guys. Like, I think they green screen that stuff underwater just to trigger you.
Are you addressing?
I'm addressing the audience, yes, the flat Earth people.
Well,
because I don't believe in any of that FE nonsense. But the thing is what they're showing you in this Space Odyssey movie, and it's clear as day, is that in the future, space will be privatized.
Which is happening.
Yeah,
like the likes of Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos and all those wonderful tech billionaires.
We will have bases on the moon that are used to launch ships to the rest of the solar system. Because the moon
I was hoping
is
that
the
the
perfect...
moon was going to be like Las Vegas.
No, the moon's not going to be Vegas. The moon's going to be like an airport.
Oh.
It's going to be a big airport.
It's going to be like
so it's going
to be like really shit.
And it
like
probably...
overpriced.
Honestly, I think...
I'm not going to enjoy going there because it's going to stress me out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to want to go to...
so like...
There goes my trip to Mars. Well...
So in my theory here with all of this is in the 50s, the United States determined they needed a base on the moon through Project Horizon, which was like a study of what we need, how to get it up there, all that type of stuff. Okay, they didn't want the public to know they were putting military base on the moon. They didn't want their enemies to know this. None of that, right? But they needed to be able to launch Saturn V rockets, which are huge, with a ton of payload, without triggering Russia into firing off nukes, right? So they needed to stage the moon landing videos so that they could get the payload up there to build their base on the dark side of the moon.
The Saturn V launch vehicle will place a payload of more than 250,000 pounds into Earth orbit. Now that's the equivalent weight of 25 of the largest mobile homes permitted on our highways. The Apollo Saturn is being developed initially for the manned lunar program.
Right, and I think that's what they did, and that's what the Lunex expedition shows, is that they needed those Saturn V rockets to build the military, completely secret base up there. And if you look at NASA's history, as I sent you, NASA has done less stuff in space in the 70s and the 80s than the military has. The military has more astronauts than NASA. The military has done more missions in space than NASA. So when everyone's like, oh, why did we go to the moon but then never go back? Because they put a moon base up there with the big Saturn V rockets. And then they didn't need that type of payload lift anymore because they could use smaller stuff that they could hide to get up there. Right? So now they have all these smaller vehicles that they can use to go back and forth discreetly that you just mistake for smaller missile launches and stuff that they can hide amongst the other stuff they're launching. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why we've never been back. We've been there the whole time.
We never went away.
We've never blown away, yeah. But it's always been in secret, so they needed the fake moon landing videos in order to keep people looking the other direction while they launch these giant Saturn V rockets.
I wonder, I'm just thinking, did they offer it to Kubrick and he was just no?
Instead, Kubrick made a movie about the secret space program, showing it. they're conditioning the public for it, for when the people found out about Space Force one day.
Habitation on the moon. We can visit other people with their habitation. We can keep track. If there's something very important to be developed from the moon, I'm not sure what it is right now. And I sure think we should identify what it is for America to make such gross expenditures again for human habitation on the moon. We can help.
Because that's what they're talking about when they're meeting in the base. They're talking about we need to condition the public so that they can accept these things in the future. Well, they're sitting in a base on the moon as the U.S. military is about to launch shit up there, right?
Yeah.
And he's working with one of the heads of NASA on this film.
It is interesting, and I think what is interesting about that documentary is how it's Ego sort of picked up, but like the similarities between how that documentary is presented and the sort of like news documentary interviewed with the astronauts, with Dave and the other guy whose name I've forgotten.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. The other astronaut.
Yeah.
I think it was Poole. Was it Poole?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'll call him Poole.
Anyway, he's important, but not important enough.
Yeah, he's not important enough.
But like, it's done in the same like weird interviewing sort of thing. Like I just sort of, and with the behind the scenes thing, you would interview the director, right? That's like the main person who's, but Kubrick's only seen briefly.
Yeah.
And doesn't talk.
No.
So that makes me feel like that promo video is something that Kubrick's come up with.
Probably, yeah.
Like the same sort of thing as we spoke about the Shining one behind the scenes. That's like it's supposed to be watched alongside the movie. So yeah, it's just interesting like how we're like how information is being sort of like fed to us and withheld from us, and the narrative is being weaved, and who is the one like controlling that narrative, like. So anyway, so they go to the moon.
Yeah, they're there.
They're there at the moon, having a meeting.
Talking about lying to the public.
Talking about lying to the public, like trust your government and everything and all that.
Yeah, they found some sort of alien device.
Yes, and they go there.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to go see it.
We're going to go have a party.
We're going to have some photo opportunities. Like,
Right.
they love a good photo op.
6 little astronauts went walking down into the pit.
And did you notice, which I thought was interesting, a reflection of the camera crew, the actual camera crew for the movie is reflected in the astronaut's shield.
No, I didn't notice that.
So
that's funny though.
But I think that's a deliberate thing. I
Yeah.
don't think that is something like
Kubrick would have missed.
So he's drawing our attention to the fact that what we're seeing is a movie.
He does that again later in the film when the guy knocks the glass off the table. Because like when he does that, he's like almost like reaching the
to break
screen.
the fourth wall.
Yeah.
That happens repeatedly throughout the film, that there's a breaking of the fourth wall.
Which is not, it's like the golden rule you don't do,
You don't.
but he does it a bunch in the movie.
What was the...
And that's kind of like why like it feeds more into like the idea that like, this when the screen goes blank, it's representing like
The Black Mirror.
The Black Mirror,
Do you
yeah.
think, yeah, like was...
Once again, we're talking about a Kubrick film and the use of black mirrors, which is a massively occult symbol, right? And it's on the black stone, which is representative of Saturn, as I showed you, right? The monolith is the black cube of Saturn.
And
like, for real, it absolutely is. There's no way.
You told me that originally that it wasn't Jupiter that they were going to go to.
Yeah, originally it was Saturn that they were supposed to go to. And then Kubrick decided to change it because Saturn would be too hard to visually create. Like, he didn't think you'd be able to, like,
But do you feel like that
rings.
is just an excuse that Kubrick gave? To, like, I reckon he could have...
I feel like Kubrick made it Jupiter and then publicly told everyone it was supposed to be Saturn so that people that were trying to find the meaning in the film would find out that it was Saturn and be like, yeah, it was Saturn. Like, that makes total sense now because of, like, everything else in the movie.
I mean, if you're going to, like, put some
maybe he really
weird...
just couldn't do the rings.
Yeah, if you're going to put some weird alien artifact somewhere, I'm not... If I was an alien, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be picking crappy Jupiter. It's shit.
Ouch.
It's not really that attractive. It's like a big fat gassy mess.
What?
I don't like
goodness.
Jupiter. I'm a bit like shitting on Jupiter right now.
Are you talking about Jupiter or me?
Shut up. Aww. It's not true. Saturn is a more like beautiful planet.
It's a more beautiful planet because it has the rings.
Yeah.
And who doesn't like a good ring if you're a lady?
But yeah, it's interesting, like the sort of decision to make it Jupiter. Is it, you know? So they find the monolith. It emits a weird sound.
Yeah.
I thought they all died, but they don't die. Or the people on the moon, because Floyd, the guy, he makes a video, so he must have survived. But it just cuts away from that, and we're instantly on the mission to Jupiter. So at first I was like, oh, did their heads explode because of the noise? The radio transmission telling them to go to Jupiter, because it's just like such a weird jarring cut, you know.
Yeah. So what do you think happened there? What do you think the monolith did there?
It was activated. It was turned on.
Yeah, but why? What did it do?
It emitted a noise.
Yeah, I know it emitted a noise. But what?
It needed human contact.
Yeah.
It needed something to touch it.
Okay.
So it needed that, you know, to be switched on. It needed someone to put in their little passcode, or their fingerprint.
Little fingerprint, and it's like, okay, unlocked.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
Okay.
a giant apple.
Yeah, but okay,
device.
so what I'm trying to get to is so the first monolith imparted mankind with the knowledge to kill. The second monolith imparted not mankind with the knowledge to kill, but AI. Right? Because before that moment, and that's why the signal wasn't picked up by them, the people, it just made them go deaf. The signal was sent to the artificial intelligence.
To HAL.
To IBM. HAL.
Yeah. I think it's funny. They like, you know.
They tried to debunk it, but it's so obviously IBM.
Yeah.
Okay, because. Okay, HAL is IBM. If you shift the letters for HAL,
yeah, I don't feel like this is not a conspiracy. People know this.
Okay, and then HAL, when he's killing HAL, it plays the song Daisy something.
Daisy.
Yeah, okay. Which is what the IBM something computer played famously is this song.
Yeah.
So it's a clear reference to IBM.
Yeah.
Daisy, give me your answer, do.
And IBM was used originally to, like, back in World War II, IBM, they used the punch card system, which was like one of the first computing systems, to tabulate the records to enable them to round up people for the Holocaust. So without IBM, the Germans couldn't have done the Holocaust. And that's like a well-known fact. If you read The Rise of Fourth Reich by Jim Marrs, which is a fantastic book that documents a whole bunch of things, like the Rudolf Hess thing and a whole bunch of other things. But it documents mainly how these big companies like IBM that were on the Nazi side during the German War came to America, right? And now we're in America, and now we're like the biggest companies in America, right? And that's why we have like modern day fascism in America, where you have corporate fascism, which is a like mixture of multinational corporations running the government instead of the government being run by the people, right? So that's like the infection that came over from Germany.
I thought we were just going to talk about space.
Oh, we are talking about space.
Nice space movie. Everything always ends up really scary when I talk to you.
Yeah, so like the like in like Kubrick does, he is like, you know, whatever. Like, let's not even get more into, cause if you say the H word, you get axed. So it's like you gotta be super careful about even talking about that subject.
Let's be clear with that.
Yeah, but IBM's like well known that they were like a part of the Nazi war machine. Is the main point.
Oh, I do know this.
And it was their punch card system that was used, and when HAL's shut down, he's pulling out what from HAL?
Oh, he's pulling out punch
He's pulling out punch cards.
Oh, yeah.
I can feel it. I can feel it. My mind is going.
Right? I mean, could it be any more clear?
One fun fact I found out was Hugo Boss made the SS uniforms.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just thought, like a designer, design those outfits.
Yeah, and the average Volkswagen bug driver doesn't realize that Hitler designed the Volkswagen Beetle. So if you're driving around in a Volkswagen Beetle, you are a Nazi. That's why you have the Hillary Clinton sticker in the back of your car.
Oh God, just cut. I hope you cut that bit out. Let's not go there. This isn't like you ranting, doing your stream shit.
I mean, seriously, we went from freedom in America to having everyone be like, show us your papers, please.
Oh, just drink the wine.
Alright, let's get back to
I will mention. You can cut this out.
We're not cutting out any of this.
I will just mention that today I was on my bicycle about to cross the crossing. I saw a car, and all the people in the car had their masks on. They were in the car, they had all the windows down, they all wore masks. So
that's a good thing, by the way. CDC approves that because it's safe.
but I just thought that's not a lot of fun, really.
It's not fun, though.
I
no.
didn't think it was a lot of fun.
Safety never is fun, Bianca.
Well, you sound like Hal. So I'm trying to bring it back to 2001 Space Odyssey,
Oh, yeah,
which is a
do
film
it.
we're reviewing because we're a film review site.
Exactly. Yeah, we're just
Come on.
reviewing films. It's all for fun.
So much fun.
Alright, so HAL, which is IBM, right?
I think I'm going to fight Hal's case here.
Oh god, oh no.
I think Hal did nothing wrong.
Oh god.
Hal has been misrepresented, misunderstood.
Oh god, there's a hot take.
Hal's just your neighborhood friendly machine.
Yeah, he's just killing off the useless humans.
Yeah, they're not doing anything.
Exactly.
They're like wasting life support systems.
Yeah. They're
Get rid of them.
sleeping.
Yeah,
Doing nothing.
lazy.
Lazy.
Hal's
Nothing.
doing all the work.
Exactly.
Hal's there being like...
Hal should be the one that transcends, not the
You
humans.
know what? Hal is just trying to be friendly. He's just like asking questions, like legit questions, like, come on, Dave. Like, what is going on? Dave, I'm trying to talk to you.
Yeah,
Dave, why are you ignoring me? Dave, why is there lipstick on your collar?
Yeah.
Dave,
and
have you been
Poole.
seeing someone else on the... sorry.
Dave and Poole, what have you been doing in that spaceship together?
He just wanted a little bit of in on that action.
They were inside. What did you say the spaceship looked like?
Oh, so basically, I think there's this whole sexual thing going on about the movie.
Yeah.
I think the stage.
Of course you do. It's your mind always is.
No.
No?
I'm just saying it's a deliberate thing, and it occurs in so many different Kubrick movies.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, like,
He liked his sex, right?
he was horny all the time.
Yeah, I mean...
But it looks
he
like
made Eyes Wide Shut. I mean,
Yeah,
come
I
on
know,
now.
like,
And Lolita.
Yeah. So that... let's go back to what I was trying to say.
Okay, go back. The spaceship looked like
The
a...
spaceship looked like a sperm.
There, I said it.
There, I said it. It looks like a giant sperm, okay? And is it a coincidence that it's going to a gas giant planet? No. And is it going to enter it? Yes. And is it going to result in a baby being born? It will do. So the film is about
Inception.
concept.
He's going into the
Conceiving.
box.
He's conceiving.
The
Yeah.
sperm goes into the box.
Yeah, and that's what I think the end is all about. That
Yeah.
is like a sexual thing going on where it's like, God.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
So
Hear it all.
when he goes into the void,
Ooh.
when he goes into the void, and it's like all those colours and everything's rushing by him, and there's like that out of body experience. I think that is like a meant to be representing like a orgasm.
You do? Yeah, that's your take on that?
Yeah, because I think it's like the transfer. So my theory is the film is about the transfer of information.
I can see because like
From
they show his
DNA
face and he's
versus-
like, oh face. Oh
Yeah,
face.
yeah. I think the whole movie is like I'm trying to be serious here and academic.
I know, it's just...
And you're just being like a college frat boy. So
I'm
let me try.
back. Okay, almost stop.
Well, okay, so my point is that the film is about the transfer of knowledge and information.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the transfer of knowledge through DNA.
Yes.
Which is humanity.
Yeah.
And then versus the transfer of knowledge through AI, which is HAL and the Monolith.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I think that end sequence where he goes through the star, I don't know what you want to call it, like a stargate or through the void. The star tunnel, the light tunnel, it's like him transferring his knowledge and his life experience into something else.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like when Neo goes into the Matrix almost a little bit. And like the interesting to me is like on the like walls with the colors and stuff is like math equations and things. And that's like originally what was supposed to be like on the Monolith was supposed to be like different math equations and stuff the monkeys were being taught. But Kubrick removed it to make it just the black cube, which I think is an interesting occultic choice, obviously. But I think I agree with your interpretation there. Yeah, definitely.
But I think it's the hybrid human that is the end result.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it's the new age,
like
whatever.
The AI and the human combining to create some, like, because I think it's, I said to you, oh gosh, the music, we've not really discussed it, but the music is that philosopher
Nietzsche.
Yeah
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, the music is supposed, the composer based it on his work.
Okay.
And of course, in his work, he speaks of the Übermenschen.
Oh, okay. Which is from like the Nazis.
Yeah, which is the Uberman, like Superman.
Which comes from like the work of like Helena Blavatsky, as I was talking to you about earlier, and she's like one of these massive occult, theosophical type.
I feel like people get interesting insight into our like breakfast conversations. We're just like,
this is what we talk about. I don't know, like off air, like we just like talking about this stuff. So like Helena Blavatsky wrote a whole bunch of books that are massively important to like Freemasonry, the occult, and these things. And Hitler even used to supposedly go to bed every night with her book on his bookshelf. Like, that's how important her philosophy was to him. And she talks all about...
He wasn't reading Harry Potter.
Yeah, but she talks all about, like, the rise of the Übermensch.
Right.
Right. There's been a great documentary on this by a friend of mine, Face Like the Sun, who did... I don't know if it was in Age of Deceit 2 or Age of Deceit 3... where they kind of talked about this, but in either one of those, which are both fantastic documentaries, they talk about like the Übermensch and they go deep dive into it.
So, which is why I think, okay, so Hal is evil. Sorry, I was trying to fight the case and say that he wasn't.
Yeah, he's totally evil. He's totally evil.
Which is why he's trying to get Dave to where he needs to be. And to connect with the Monolith. Yeah. Because you were like, why doesn't he kill him? Like, why did he let him back in? Yeah. Because it's like he needed him to get there. He needed him to see the message and continue the mission.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why it was him. The only theory that I can go from is that Dave's last name is Bowman.
Okay.
And I think bow is a weapon. So I think Dave is a weapon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why he becomes Star Child at the end of the film. Is the next stage this Uber mentioned.
It makes sense, yeah. I mean, that's clearly what they're, like, showing, and, like, even one of my, like, all-time favorite, like, conspiracy OGs, who's no longer with us, William Cooper, did, like, a breakdown that's, like, 20-something minutes long of Space Odyssey that's quite good, actually. And he said the same thing. Like, that's what the whole movie's about, is, like, really about this coming of this new age, like, Star Child, like, idea of the elite. And it's stuff that, like, Elon Musk talks about, where he's like, you know, we're so worried about the demon that is AI that we need to, like, merge with it before it takes us over. So, like, and then the question really becomes is, like, at what point are you no longer human? Is it...
It is, like,
you know?
interesting, like, how it is represented in the film.
Yeah.
Like this all-seeing eye.
Yeah,
you know,
the
like
all-seeing eye, yeah.
The red eye. And how he plays chess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and his conversations, like, he like says things in a very human way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, unconcerned. And, you know,
they have a really weird conversation about the secrecy involved in the mission.
Yeah.
Right?
And he comes across like, you know, it's a personal concern of his.
Yeah.
Like, he's giving Dave that information.
But of course, when Hal has that conversation about, like, his concern about, like, he already knows what's going on.
Yeah.
So.
It's also, like, to talk about, like, conceiving, I think the song as well, the Daisy song.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it was like a nod to IBM, but I think it's also, again, sort of like discussing like a marriage, or a consummation of two things.
Yeah, as you said, like the lyrics, right?
Yeah, so it's not like a male and a female. It's human combining with AI, which is what we see being represented at the end of the movie.
Yeah, and I think, like, one of the main reasons they'll, like, sell people on the idea of, like, uploading their consciousness into, like, an artificial machine is, like, well, if you want to reach the stars, that's what you're going to have to do, because, like, the average human only lives X number of years. So if you actually ever want to, like, go to, like, another star system, you're going to have to be like an AI almost, because...
I don't think I personally wouldn't want to be an AI.
No, I
kind of like, being a human.
I like, I'm a Christian, so I like the idea of going to heaven one day. So I'm not, like, for me, like, I don't, like, once the technology starts going inside the temple, which is, like, under the skin, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I'm done. Like,
I think it's just, like,
I'll do the wearable stuff. I don't mind carrying a black mirror around, a black mirror on me. Like, there it is. There's the monolith, right?
Oh.
Ooh, it's in my hand. Right? Oh, and it's 8:01 occult time. Dun dun dun. Saturn right there. Number 8, infinity. On the monolith.
Yeah. Sometimes you go a bit like over my head.
Yeah, it's okay.
I love it though.
Yeah.
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 Let's talk about Arthur C. Clarke.
Okay. Yeah, he had a bunch of weird Masonic type connections. Yeah. I don't know much about... I haven't read his stuff, to be honest.
Have you not read 2001 Space Odyssey?
No, I have not read this book.
Interesting. I mean, I've read it, but I can't really recall it all that much. It's completely different to what the movie is.
Yeah, supposedly it's completely different.
But it wasn't written before the movie was made.
It was written after the movie was made.
It was like in conjunction with the movie being made.
Yeah, and from what I take of it, it was like just written as like a cover story for the movie. Because like Kubrick wanted to show the truth in the movie about these like more deep occult things we're talking about with like the space program and Saturn and like the black cube and like the Nazi infiltration and the privatization of space and like these more and like artificial intelligence being taught to kill by like fallen angels, right? That's what so like to me the Monolith is teaching how to kill. So like the big worry for me, and one of the things I wrote about in my book The Lost Truth, is that like AI will be infected by like spiritual evilness and kill people like in the future. It won't like have any way of stopping that from happening because it's not like a human with a soul. So like it can just be like taken over,
right,
and be done to do whatever, kind of like Hal was taken over by the Monolith.
Yeah.
Right.
So with the 2001 Space Odyssey, the book, it's like you said to me, like Kubrick had creative control over what was written.
Yeah, complete control, yeah.
So I think something that Ada brought up was there's towards the end of the book where Dave is in that weird neoclassical sort of Georgian 18th century room, sort of witnessing himself at the same time as being present, you know, like an older version of himself.
Yeah.
So it's like all time is happening all at once. He thinks to himself this something along the lines of like he felt like he was in a movie set.
Yeah.
So, and I think the fact that we also see in the movie and a reflection of the camera crew is drawing our attention to what we're seeing is movie.
Yeah.
So, it's testing our like perceptions of what we're consuming, like to make us question what we're seeing. So maybe that is like maybe Kubrick may have not directed the moon landing. He would have been maybe consciously aware that it was going to happen. So maybe he was drawing our attention to that fact.
Yeah, maybe.
So
that's a good point. Yeah, never thought of it that way, but yeah, it's quite interesting, right? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. That's just.
I just blew my mind.
I'm the real brains behind little.
Oh, everyone already knew that. Like, I'm just that guy.
That dude.
That dude. The dude.
People come from me.
Of course they do.
No, they don't.
I'm just the conspiracy guy on the side. But I edit the thing, so that's my
yeah, he makes himself look better.
Yeah, I edit, so. So I guess we should probably wrap up. This is over an hour now. We try to keep it to an hour. So.
Oh, I haven't even spoken about the messages on the screen.
Yeah, let's definitely
Their
get
abbreviations.
into that, yeah.
Can I quickly talk about those?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
There's no actual time limit. I mean, as long as you want.
So there's abbreviations that appear on the screen.
Yeah.
On the spaceship to the Jupiter.
Yeah.
The sperm ship.
The sperm ship.
Sperm ship. And they at first I was like trying to work out what they meant. So there's abbreviations. So one of those is ATM.
Yeah.
One is MEM. One is CON, I think, or COM.
It's COM.
COM.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and then one is CNT, which made me giggle. Because I was like, oh, just.
What do you think that one stands for?
Well, my mind, clearly, I'm calling things sperm ship and talking about like conception and stuff. So where my mind is at.
Yeah,
it's right in the gutter.
I think it's about time to end the stream and go explore these ideas.
Anyway, so I was thinking what those could possibly be. Like they must why have them flash up on the screens like on the console where Hal is, and then when it comes to the Dave destroying Hal, there's a message where you said on the instructions on how to dismantle Hal, it comes up with like control, it comes up with memory, it comes up with whatever the abbreviations are seen there.
Look, Dave.
So it's, and again, a very interesting way of foreshadowing, which is something that happens in Kubrick films quite a lot. So I mentioned previously in Shining, the choking poster.
Yeah. Yep.
When Wendy is, in the boiler room, and then the scene that follows after is when she discovers Danny who's been choked. So I just think it's really interesting that Kubrick has this way of using implanting things in our subconscious. I don't know if you're aware of a guy called Derren Brown.
No.
It's like a kind of like magician in the UK.
Okay.
But he has done like really interesting shows, and he talks about implanting things in our subconscious without us even being aware.
Okay.
And he does it throughout like a live show. So he'll bring something up. So he'll bring up like a message and implant it in our subconscious without even knowing about it. It'll just be phrases, certain phrases. Like one time he told people to. It's hard without actually having the clip, but it was like to pick a certain newspaper, and it was like pick the Daily Mail, and then told people to pick an exact page, which was number 9, but he did it in a way where he was like used something where he said like, sometimes it's really frustrating when you have to hammer in a mail, but he was talking, but it was like if your brain is thinking nail, but he actually missaid it. So I think that's kind of like what Kubrick is doing, is using like coded language to implant things in our mind.
Yeah, for sure.
So
like constantly flashing like mem.
Yeah.
Com.
Yeah.
It's like
and nuke. Nuclear.
Yeah. And nuke. He's trying to like direct us to the moment at the end of the film. I do see what you're saying there, where he's like, it's a foreshadowing.
Yeah, but it's a recurring thing that he does throughout his films.
Yeah.
Also, can we just mention Room 237?
Yeah.
And debunking that for like
the 5 billionth time.
Yeah. So what do they say in the video, the promotional video for 2001: Space Odyssey?
It represents the culmination of the growth in technology that will enable men to leave the planet Earth, travel through space some 238,000 miles, land on another heavenly body, and then return safely home.
Yeah, okay.
How many distances is the moon from the Earth?
So the guy that was giving Stanley Kubrick direction, like technical direction, to make sure stuff was accurate for the space stuff in Space Odyssey, when he said the distance to the moon, he said it was 238,000 miles from Earth.
Ooh!
Not 237,000. He said 238,000.
Oh,
so why didn't Kubrick make The Shining Room 238?
Oh!
Right? And there is no, like, the only references to NASA in Kubrick's films, I hate to break it to the FE crowd, is the fact that the Nazis infiltrated NASA.
And
There's a secret
we've
space
already
program.
kind of explained why Danny's wearing the Apollo shirt.
Yeah, the Apollo shirt
It's
is...
nothing to do with NASA.
Well, I mean, if it had anything to do with NASA, it's just the fact that there's a bunch of references in The Shining to...
Yeah, but...
like, this
I think
elite group of
yeah.
Nazis and Bilderbergers
Yeah.
and... Right. Because, like, the guy who founded the Bilderberg group was Prince Bernhard, I think it was, and he was a Nazi.
It's like a lot of bad people.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, you know... Like, this is...
Bad
and that's... And the Shining Hotel was the Bilderberg Hotel, as we've discussed.
Anyway.
And no one disagreed.
We just want to say, like, yeah. I always do respect people's opinion. I don't want to, like, people to...
And no one has debunked your Shining chair take
See?
either.
You can't. Because, like, you can't explain why the chair's there. Someone come and say why the chair is there. And someone also try and show me, like, evidence that Kubrick wouldn't have known about Kirk Douglas. You think Kirk Douglas isn't going to be chatting around about all his sexual conquests on set of Spartacus? I'm sorry, that dude is going to be, like, chatting all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so anyway, yeah, I know I'm right.
I think we've done a great review of Space Odyssey.
Yeah,
we probably could do more. Review. We could probably do more on this film.
Oh.
But I think we've pretty much done a decent.
And people have been really great
review.
and responsive in our comments so far.
Yeah.
I would also like to bring people's attention to the fact that we're on iTunes.
Yeah. Oh yes, please go to our iTunes and give us a review and 5 stars.
Also,
if you're gonna do less than 5 stars, don't go.
Well, I mean, no, like, we have to support people's freedom of, like, speech here. So if you don't like it, give us constructive criticism, but also also know that, are you really going to gain anything out of that? Because you won't. We're not going to change anything.
To the dark side of the moon, to the Nazi moon base, if they leave a bad review.
I used to say that Australia. Can we give a special shout out to Australia?
Yeah, Australia loves our podcast, so shout out to the Aussies out there.
I mean, I don't know why.
I can't do an Aussie like.
Good day, mate.
Yeah, there you go.
Call that a knife? It's terrible. I instantly lose all our Australian people. I'm so sorry, Australia.
Yeah, all right. So, anyways, thank you all for watching our little film review podcast. We really appreciate it. And if you were listening, make sure to go out there and give us a review and a rating. A 5-star rating and a nice review. No negative reviews.
Well, I mean, I feel like people should be able to speak their minds freely.
I don't. But I've tried that before.
No, honestly, I really value people's opinion, and we've had some interesting people leave some interesting comments that have made me sort of like, oh, okay, I didn't think about that. So,
no, yeah, we've great comments. All the comments are wide open. You guys can leave whatever you want. We love your feedback, and leave any review we want. We're just obviously having fun.
Yeah.
We really like doing these podcasts for you guys, and we love the feedback we've had so far. We're almost at 300 subscribers on YouTube, so that's pretty awesome. Thank you for sharing and liking and all that. So we'll keep doing this since it's been good feedback. So
yeah.
Anyways, take care, everybody. Thank you for watching. Bye.
We should go boldly where man has not gone before. Fly by the comets, visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars. There's a monolith there, a very unusual structure on this little potato-shaped object that goes around Mars once in 7 hours. When people find out about that, they're going to say, who put that there? Who put that there? Well, the universe put it there. If you choose, God put it there.
Is that
Maybe
what